Here are 3 players to watch in the NCAA tournament that if you don't know, you better ask somebody. Everyone just loves New Mexico to upset number 6, have the potential to go at least one more round. Deron Holmes, Shahade Wells, and Enrique Freeman, 3 players you have to know about. Happy Saturday. Welcome back to the FTN Fantasy College Basketball Betting Show. I'm your host, Mike Randle. Follow me on X at Randle Rand. And if you have not joined FTN Fantasy, this is the time to do it. You can use the promo code CBB Show. We have Black Friday sales coming up. We have Thanksgiving sales, DFS. Our content is going to be totally free on Thanksgiving. We have simulations. We're running contest sims for these DFS contests. You want to sit around and watch Giants Cowboys with Tommy DeVito and Cooper Rush? No, you don't. You need some part of the action. You need some lineups and that great game, the Dolphins-Packers at night as well. So many great things here going on at FTN. But the reason you are here today is for college basketball picks. And for those that don't know, hit the like, hit the subscribe button. We have our usual people in the chat who I love. These are Cheers. These are Norm. These are Cliff Clavin. These are all the loyal listeners here at FTN. Let's come in, discuss. We go through the teams and we build to March. And when March Madness comes and everyone's standing at work, who do you like? Who do you like? You know what? You like Florida Atlantic 2 years ago. Why? Because of this damn show. You like Clemson last year. Why? Because of this show. And that's what we do. That's how we roll. No problem. And we need to study and research together. Let's see the normal people in the chat. Let's go. Here we go. Mimosas and Mike White early. Austin, I know, but you're not going to believe my pick of that game. We'll get to it right away. Joey Wright. You know, Joey, I considered Stetson today. For those who don't know, I met Joey Wright at the Expo. Just a wonderful human being. Great fantasy analyst. Follow Joey Wright on X if you haven't. Joey, I couldn't do Stetson today. I really couldn't. I want to stay away. I wanted to pick it for you. I thought of you last night, like 11 o'clock. I'm doing handicapping. Couldn't do it. Irish coffee. Way to go. Perfect, Joey. Excellent. Austin, great to see you. Like I said, Jamison Hutchison, one of the nicest people in the business as well. Met him at the Expo. Great to see him as well. Yeah, Austin, we'll get to it as well. And Jerry Nassett in the house. Randle and a bowl of Cheerios. That's good. It's cholesterol. I'd like to see that, Jerry, as well. Be helping you with some math later on, my friend. Of course, because I do. Elon looks for real. Dan, we'll get to that. Dan, you are the man. Love you, buddy. UMass today, Temple. Are we taking it? I don't know if we are, Dan. I don't know if we are. Well, let's get to it. Let's get to the picks. Here we go. Today's pick. Now, a couple things I learned yesterday. We lost a couple brutal ones. If you're in the FTN Discord, I mean, gosh, I think St. Joseph's is really good. St. Joe's is good. The Hawk is flapping. They got 7.5 last night against Texas. They were up with 5 minutes left and somehow blew the 7.5 point cover, lost by 9. That's okay. We'll take that loss because what we're doing is gathering information. So I'm saying right now to Jerry Nassett who's in the chat, if St. Joe's is like a 12 seed in the tournament, they're going to be very live. Good backcourt, big man inside. Billy Lang been around for a while. They're due for a couple wins in the tournament. So I'm putting that one out there right now. Here we go. Okay. Now, I love Marquette. And we picked Marquette early this week on the show to finally take care of business against Purdue. And they did. This is a lot. This game is coming up in an hour in the Bahamas. I don't like Mike White. So all the people that have watched this show are laughing. I think Joey's spitting up his Irish coffee right now that I'm picking them. The problem is I think Georgia can rebound up front. And Mike White isn't a great coach, but he's done a good job assembling talent. And that doesn't mean we should ignore everything they do. They are 4th in offensive rebounding. That's going to be a bit of a challenge for Marquette today. I love Marquette. They lost Tyler Kolek. They lost Iguodaro inside. But they have Cam Jones, but that's kind of it. Cam Jones needs to have 25 or 30 points for this offense to hum. Now, I love the Stevie Mitchell, the David Joplins, Chase Ross, these sort of gritty guys that get 8 to 10 points. But Georgia has talent. This is not the spot, in my opinion, to fade Georgia. I think we're fading Georgia when they're an 8-point favorite at home in the middle of the SEC. That's where we're going to be hammering against Mike White. But I'm not doing it here. They have Marquette. They have St. John's coming up. Spoiler alert, we'll be fading them against St. John's. But I think 7 is an awful lot. So I'm going to take Mike White here, plus 7. This number is trickling down to 6.5. It was 7.5 last night for like a half hour because I was talking to my buddy Gus Kearns about it. And then it went away right away. So I'm going to take them here with the 7 early on in the Bahamas. Laugh it up. I can hear my brother-in-law, Joe Polino, up in Amherst saying, if you pick Vermont one more freaking time, I am, because I believe in John Becker and I believe in this Vermont team. They have certainly struggled. They have been terrible this year against the spread. They look great and fulfilled all my dreams with the win at UAB. Then they get blown out by Auburn because Auburn goes 65 of 67 from three-point range. Merrimack was an odd loss because of the turnovers. Iona, they're winning and they blow it, and they don't cover at home against Buffalo. Okay, Delaware stinks. That's the issue. Delaware this year, they're 2-2, lost at home to Bryant, lost at home to Bucknell. They beat Robert Morris barely at home, and they won away at Iona. I believe in Becker. He can't have the turnovers. The issue this year is the turnovers. I think they get their offense going. I'm going to continue to hammer John Becker. If he can't cover this at Mohegan Sun, dead to me. But I've just seen great coaches. One of the true gems in handicapping college basketball is the great coaches. You expect that. Rick Pitino should have won that game against Baylor. Rick Barnes last night destroying Baylor. Great coaches who have had sustained success are the true gems in handicapping basketball. I am going back to Vermont today. Joe is going to kill me on Thanksgiving. I'm going back to Vermont today, -5.5 against Delaware at Mohegan Sun. Don't come to this show and be surprised at this. I continue to fade Purdue. Okay, they're home. It's an afternoon game. It's not a night game. Fine. They rely very heavily on the three, and they rely very heavily on Braden Smith and Fletcher Lawyer. Marshall should be able to keep this game close, even though it's at Purdue. Marshall, as Cornelius Jackson, his first year, what have they done so far? They don't turn the ball over, and they defend well inside the arc. I like Marshall here. They beat Bellarmine by 20. Southern Indiana, they played Toledo at home, tough team. They only lost by 10. I think they can keep this game close. If you don't like the 19.5 and you're afraid of the Fletcher Lawyer bombs with 10 minutes left, take it in the first half. I think Marshall can keep it close. It's a big number. You know the default this year. If you're not sure, take the points. I wish it was at a neutral. It's Jackson's first year, but I'm going to continue to fade Purdue. I'm going to take the 19.5. If you don't like it, some of the other picks are stronger feelings, but the fade of Purdue, I'm going to continue because I think the market is way too high on them. Love them against Marquette. I got Marquette first half line and full game against Purdue. You want to say bounce back, that's fine. I want to say Saturday afternoon, Marshall actually mix it up and keeps it a little close. Just my opinion. King Rice is a very underrated coach. King Rice is down at Monmouth. Very underrated coach. And they have not been favored, I don't think, in any game this year. They're 0-7. But they've been able to keep it close. Michigan State away, that game was close. They lost it late. Got destroyed by Temple on a neutral. Battle against Northern Illinois away. Battle against Rutgers away. I think they covered that game too. I think it was 20. Wichita State away, lost by 4. Youngstown State on a neutral, they battled and lost. So, yes, they're 0-7, but King Rice is a really good coach, and I am not afraid of Presbyterian. Presbyterian, I like them in certain spots when they're home. They're now on a neutral. They beat Youngstown State by 25. So if they beat Youngstown State by 25, who's ranked higher in Ken Pom, why is this line only 2? It's almost like everyone's going to be on Presbyterian today at Texas. I'm taking King Rice. Great coaches matter. I'm taking King Rice. BU at home, good. BU away, not good. UMBC wants to run up and down the court. Full court press, steals, layups, etc. UMBC is not very good, but UMBC should be able to turn over BU. I think BU is going to struggle today at UMBC. UMBC, I've watched them under Jim Ferry, super fast pace. They've lost 2 games at home, so they need this win. They lost to St. Peter's at home. That's a tough down screen, back screen team. They lost to Hampton there. That was a rough game that they lost. Hampton came back on them. I don't think BU, with their high turnover rate, they're one of the top 50 teams in offensive turnovers, and BU 58% from the free throw line this year. I don't think a team, and I think UMBC stinks, I don't think a team that turns the ball over and can't make a darn free throw is going to win on the road. I thought about the over here, but we didn't hit the over at Hampton. I'll just take the -1.5 with UMBC. I think they get to the window. Speaking of pace, how about Georgia Southern? Now, you're going to be worried this is a rivalry game because it's Western Georgia versus Georgia, but Georgia likes to get up and down the floor. In fact, their pace right now, Georgia Southern, is second in the country. The only team, and I'll look this up. Yeah, the only team that plays faster is New Mexico. Georgia Southern, super fast. They're coming off a loss against William and Mary, who shot really well in that game. West Georgia is not going to do that. Georgia Southern plays with pace, turns you over, is really good inside the arc, and defends the three-pointer. West Georgia, in their first year this year in D1 with Dave Moore as the coach, they're 0-5. Hammered by Mississippi State, hammered by Georgia Tech, close game with Tennessee Tech. Okay. South Florida, who obviously has a lot of off-the-court things, of course, prayers with them. Scott Cross covered at home against them. No way. Don't see it. They're shooting 64% from the line, and there is no team in college basketball that is worse at defending inside the arc than West Georgia. I think this is a track meet. I'm fine with Georgia Southern first half. Georgia Southern, I'm not worried about the rivalry. Can we slow down with Ivy League teams and big spreads? Can we slow down with that? I love the Ivy League, but with the exception of one game, Princeton, who's the class of the Ivy League, has really struggled. Now, I know this is Canisius. Canisius coached by the former Boston College coach, Jim Kristen, who I know very well. Now, Jim Kristen, one of these guys, is not going to win big games, but he is going to build you from brutalness to sustainability. They played Maryland, got destroyed in that game, lost by 60. Now they're back home. I think they bounced back when they were home against St. Bonaventure, who's a really good team. They only lost by 11. The numbers don't look good, but I can't get to Brown being favored by 8.5 on the road. So I'm taking Canisius here. Doesn't feel great, but I can't lay massive spreads with Ivy League teams. I just can't do it. I love the Ivy League. Princeton versus Arizona a couple of years ago. Yale is wonderful on the road. They play Purdue. They covered. I don't like them as big favorites. Canisius, 8.5 against Brown. Jim Christian, get them ready. Don't like JMU. I think last year JMU was incredible. So I am going with Jacksonville State. Jacksonville State is actually sneaky good in Conference USA. Ray Harper is there. They're great on the boards. They don't turn it over. They're great at defending inside the arc. They hit some threes. They had a decent schedule. They struggled away at Air Force. That's a pace game. But Georgia State beat Coastal Carolina away, which is never easy. Coastal Carolina home's always a nice pick. Beat them by 18. East Carolina was pretty decent. They beat them on a neutral. Lost by 2 to Toledo. They're a good team. James Madison is going the wrong way. James Madison lost to Townsend, lost to Norfolk State, lost to UC San Diego on the neutral. I don't like James Madison this year. Preston Spradlin's there. Came over from Morehead State. I like Preston Spradlin. Don't like this spot here. I'll take Jacksonville State. There's a coin flip game. I'll take Jacksonville State plus 3.5. That's fine. I have been burned by Loyola Chicago more times than anyone. The problem is Loyola Chicago has great wings that can attack you off the dribble. They have really good wing players. Tulsa has the players to contend. So Loyola Chicago versus, Princeton. Remember that game? That's not a good matchup because they can get a basket whenever they want. They're not going to get that against Tulsa. Tulsa's pretty good. Eric Konkel's there. Tulsa plays with pace. Tulsa can score. Tulsa now has 2 losses in a row. Missouri State away in 3 overtimes. That's a rough game. And then Little Rock at home. But this team doesn't turn the ball over. They can defend you on the wing. Loyola Chicago is undefeated this year. This is the perfect sleepy spot. They almost got picked off by Southern Utah at home the other day. I don't like it. They're only shooting 29% from three-point range. You know I don't like Drew Valentine as a coach. I totally understand that the wings are good, that Jaden Dawson, who's really solid, attacks you off the dribble. The Shelton Edwards is good, but that's pretty much it. So I'm going to take Tulsa and their sort of changing defenses here and their athletes and Konkel on the road getting 10.5 at Loyola Chicago. But I have to admit, we have struggled handicapping Loyola Chicago. Wake Forest at home likes to run. Wake Forest likes to get up and down the floor. Detroit is not going to know what hit them today. Wake Forest likes to drop 60, 68, 75 points in the first half and just get rolling here. I think Wake Forest puts a number on Detroit. They have a super fast pace, and they always shoot well at home. You know the Wake Forest game at home against Duke later this year where they're getting 6 is going to be really live. Home numbers with Steve Forbes. They have been playing quickly. They turn you over a ton. They got 82 at home against Western Carolina. They had 85 home against USC Upstate. Detroit Mercy is in that sort of ilk. They've shot well this year from three-point range, but they don't generate a lot of their points from 3. They can't make free throws. Mark Montgomery is there, first year that he's joined Detroit. Detroit with a nice win away at Ball State. Thank you. This game's going to be 30-10 before you look up. I am taking Wake Forest over 143.5, and I'm also taking Wake Forest minus 24.5. Call this one the Wisconsin game last night against UCF, who, by the way, I've officially come to a conclusion on UCF. They are not good. I thought Johnny Dawkins, maybe with all this talent's going to be good. They are not good. They are not disciplined on offense. They don't have anything they're doing. Wisconsin put on a clinic and backdoored them to death. I don't even like Wisconsin this year, although they're undefeated. This is the same thing. Cal Poly wants to get up and run down the court. They're playing St. Mary's here. St. Mary's disciplined style, always looking for the back doors, trying to get you when you're least expecting it, attacking your weakness. They are home against Cal Poly. They're great on the offensive boards. Cal Poly is terrible on the boards. Yes, Cal Poly played well against Arizona State, but they're not disciplined. They're not well coached. This is a bad matchup. This is a bad matchup. Mike DeGeorge's first year in Cal Poly. He is going to get a clinic tonight against St. Mary's. St. Mary's is always tough, especially at home. They beat Akron at home by 21, who is a much better team than Cal Poly. They beat Chattanooga at home by 12, which is a much better team than Cal Poly. They beat Towson. This is going to be one of these clinics, one of these 32 to 15 games right away. You're worried about a backdoor cover. Fine. I don't care. I'm taking St. Mary's minus 21.5. I see the comments coming. I have two more picks, and we'll get to them. Stone, again, Columbia. I like Columbia. Okay. They struggled against LIU. My friend Dr. Tony's there with his kids watching the game. Let's just take it easy with the big spreads. Let's take it easy with the Ivy League and the big spreads here. Okay. Stonehill is a team that's done well for us. We've actually covered a couple games with Stonehill. Very interesting team, Stonehill. Disciplined under Chris Krause. They do some nice backdoors. They will defend you well. They defend inside the arc. They had a nice win at home against Bryant. Bryant is pretty good. So I am taking Stonehill here, plus 11.5 against Columbia. And the last game, Louisiana plus 7.5 against G-Dub. I am taking Louisiana plus the 7.5 with Bob Marley against G-Dub. Both teams like to get up and down the court. Both teams like to run and go crazy. I think the better coach, that's the one I'm talking about here. I think the better coach is Louisiana. So I'm taking Louisiana plus 7.5 against G-Dub. Let's get to the comments. Boy, they're flying in today, the comments. This is fantastic. Let's see what we got here. Yeah, Joe. Yeah, it's okay. But you had a great year last year, Joe. So you're going to reset. That's fine. No problem. No problem at all. Grant. Yeah, Grant, you're always okay, buddy. If you're here last year, you now have tenure. You have tenure in the college basketball show. Jason, good to see you, buddy. Good to see you back. Let's have a day. What do you say? Yeah, Jerry, the boardwalk battle today with LaSalle. I'm confused by LaSalle because I backed LaSalle against UC San Diego. I backed LaSalle against Illinois Chicago. They got blown out. I can't decide if Fran Dunphy is this old, great schematic coach and he just had a bad game, or if LaSalle is just going to struggle and they're sort of not listening to Dunphy here. I can't figure LaSalle out, so I stayed away from that game. You got it. Trevor goes up and down. Last night we got burned by the St. Joe's game. It happens. We're still on to a great start this year. Phenomenal start. Couple last bad beats. We'll get back to it. Don't worry. We'll get you right today. Vermont. Yeah, Jason, I'm going with him. It's just, Jason, the problem is I know Vermont's going to get it right. Why? He does every year. So are we going to really hit rock bottom today? And then we're going to have really great spreads in our favor? Could be. But if you're not there at the wedding, don't be there at the funeral. We're there at the funeral right now. I want to be there at the wedding. So we're going to take Vermont. That's what we're going with. Sweat. You voted cat about sweat. I know, Joey. Well, wear it today, buddy. Hopefully we can get Mohegan Sun, neutral court, John Becker. Give me a little 15-4, please, John. Timeout. Yeah. I said, Daryl, I said Georgia. I love Marquette. I love Shaka Samar. I think he's a great coach. I love this team. It just feels like a lot. It does. I'm going with Georgia early 11 o'clock. I want some action in the 11 o'clock game also, so we're going early. Let's see. On the UCF game over, Daryl, that's a good one, buddy. I didn't see that one. Let me check that out. The UCF game over. Good call there, Daryl. Thank you, buddy. Let's see. So they're playing LSU. Yeah, what's the number at? I bet that gets to 150. I'm fine with it. They're going to push, and LSU doesn't have the horses to defend them. I'm fine with that. You want to hit that over, Dow. That's a good call. Good job. I think it's sleepy spot for Purdue. I do. Let's see. It's 37-degree here, Wisconsin. My buddy lives in Wisconsin. Trevor, I appreciate that. Squirrels today so far. No opinion there on that one. I'm going with Monmouth. I'm going with King Rice as the coach, Dow, but no opinion on that. Yeah, 0-7 teams. Austin, I can't help but bet those teams because the casual college basketball bettor just goes to the game and sees 0 whatever and just bets the other way. We did that with Chattanooga, and we hit last Saturday, I think it was, where they were undefeated and they covered the 11. Yeah, I'm going with it. I can't, Daryl. I can't lay points with Brown on the road. They haven't looked good. They looked horrific in that game against Maryland. Just awful basketball. But I'll take him here with the 8.5. Daryl, East Carolina. Let me see East Carolina. East Carolina. So East Carolina, yeah, against Illinois. Illinois, Chicago may be better than I think they are. I like East Carolina. I like them better at home. So I probably in Illinois, Chicago there. I know it's only a couple points. I think East Carolina is live at home. That's it. That's what I've had success with in the past. I'm staying away. Yeah, Grant, I looked at Cincy. Cincy's really good. Cincy is the sleeper that I thought UCF was in the Big 12. Cincy's really good on the road here against Georgia Tech. Georgia Tech's not very good. You could go to Cincy. I may add that one later. Cincy is awesome. Cincinnati under Wes Miller. Remember I was on them last year? They kind of disappointed. They couldn't get over the hump of those big games where they played Houston well at home. You remember that? They may be really good. I don't like laying points on the road. But they did lose to Georgia at home. That's one that's worth a consideration. Maybe later. Yeah, Brown hasn't been great either, Trevor. I'm with you. East Carolina money line we talked about. Yeah, I do like Jacksonville State this year. I think they're live today in Jacksonville as well. Yeah, Detroit likes to score, and Wake Forest will push that pace. You know how many overs we've hit with Wake Forest? They've been incredible. I can look that up too. I should look it up later. I can't do it now. But Wake Forest at home covering. Yeah, UCF stinks, Jameson. They're not good. They're not disciplined. That's going to self-destruct. I apologize, Jameson. I thought maybe it could work, sort of like the crane kick for Johnny Dawkins and what could be his last year in UCF by getting all this talent. Problem is he can't coach. That's the problem. Trevor, they're really good. They are really good. They're better. Tanjay's attacking the basket. I still don't know if they're going to win the Big Ten, but they certainly look like they're in the top 4. They're good. They're very, very good. Remember last year I liked them against James Madison, but James Madison in the tournament they just got hot, and it was one of those games. Yeah, UCF was rough. It was frustrating, UCF. Let's see. Yeah, I'm on Georgia today. We'll see what happens. Yeah, sorry. Stony Brook, Joey. I apologize. Stony Brook. Taking them and the points against Columbia. My apologies. Yeah, sorry, wrong one there. I was looking at Stony Brook, Stonehill for tomorrow. We're going with them. I like Marist a lot, Dan, because Marist turns you over and they're kind of a sleeper that no one is talking about. That's a lot of points for Marist to cover. I mean, they covered 13 against Dartmouth. They barely beat Army. I like Marist. I like them better as an underdog in those situations, like when they played at Richmond. But I'm not ready to lay that many points against New Hampshire. Not that New Hampshire is great. It just feels like an awful lot of points for Marist. I don't know if Marist is getting up for New Hampshire. Yeah, it's a rivalry. Of course, Dad. Yes, the great battle between Calipari and Chaney when Chaney tried to strangle Calipari. Yes, UMass can't score. They're going to play super fast. They need to play the guard, number 2. He needs to get on the floor a little bit, but they do have size inside. It just feels like their offense is too reliant on Rasul Diggins. I thought about Temple because until they prove to me they can score in the half court, it's making me a little nervous. Struggled against Hofstra. We got that one. And they got to overtime, I think, but that was only because they hit some miracle shots, which I don't think they're going to hit today at Mohegan Sun. So I'm kind of leaning Temple, but it was a no play for me. Par 4, there you go. You got my thought there. Drake is really good, guys. Drake is good. For those that don't know what's going on with Drake, of course, loses their legendary coach, Darren DeVries, who goes over to West Virginia. In comes Ben McCollum from D2. Ben McCollum brought in 3 of his players from D2. So everyone's down on Drake. Well, the buzz saw that his Drake is now 5-0 with D2 players, which shows you that cohesion greater than talent. Stephen F. Austin home, Florida Gulf Coast, blitzed Miami on the neutral and beat Florida Atlantic. Now they're playing Vandy on a neutral. Vandy with Mark Byington coming over from James Madison. Vandy's been really good. I think I like Drake there, but I have to wait and see. The game is tomorrow. Really, really like that. And Joe Polino, if Vermont doesn't cover today, only dark meat. Thank you, Joe. Thank you. I appreciate it. I'm not going to leave my wingman. Remember the new Top Gun movie? You don't leave your wingman. I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it. I have a feeling I'll be eating with the dogs on Thanksgiving. Daryl, I bombed this one for you last week. Let's see if we can make up for it today. Daryl wants a 3-team parlay. Let's get Daryl to the window here. Okay. 3-team parlay for Daryl. There it is, Daryl. There it is. Vermont would be the first one. BU on the road, no thank you. I do like that one a lot. And what's the third? What's the third we're going to throw in here? I think Tulsa can cover against Loyola Chicago. I don't mind the money line. You could use those. I like the over for Wake Forest. You want to add that one? I'd pick one of those, Daryl. Good luck, buddy. I hope it gets to the window for you. I always hate the parlay questions. It's not my thing, but I want to get it to you. Yeah, they had it, Trevor. They totally had it. They missed a couple shots. They had a couple turnovers and ones, and it was free throws. It was free throws. They had to foul late, and Texas kept making the free throws. But that's okay. I feel like sometimes we get lucky, and we have a bad cap, and we get lucky. Last night we had a right cap, and it went the wrong way. But that's okay. It'll go the other way. No problem. Colin, Beth, and Byington. I got it. There you go, guys. 20 minutes in and out. Thank you so much. Remember, like, subscribe, hit the button, tell a friend, tell an enemy, tell anybody. Tuesday, Thursdays. Now, next week, guys, we're going Tuesday. Nothing Thursday, of course, because I'll be eating the dark meat with Joe up in Amherst. So we'll go Tuesdays and Saturday next week. Just Tuesday, Saturday, no Thursday show. I'm on Sirius Live from 1 to 3 p.m. Eastern on Tuesday, Wednesday, and Fridays. So make sure you tune in, get your fantasy football questions, jump in there. Hoping that show goes well. We can keep doing it during college basketball season. It would be great to have it live on March Madness. Thank you always, everybody. Let's get to the window. You know it's going to be a day, and you know it's going to be stressful when I'm starting it off backing Mike White. But that's okay, because at FTN Fantasy, we find you, say it with me, the edge. Here are 3 players to watch in the NCAA tournament that if you don't know, you better ask somebody. Everyone just loves New Mexico to upset number 6, have the potential to